When you're building a business culture, the people in that business matters a lot. And the best way to explain how business culture is important is by me sharing you scenarios. And as I go through the scenarios, always remember, hire slow, fire fast. So some years back, a technical resource left the organization, and this is at the beginning of the year. That year, I had quite a number of projects that were coming, and we'd already put in our strategy, so I knew the loss of that technical team would impact the performance in that year. So, of course, I'm under pressure. I need to hire fast. Incidentally, around the same time, I'd had some engagements with some technical guy on LinkedIn. The guy seems to be pretty good in terms of his technical expertise. And of course, when now the resignation came in, I had to quickly fill that position. Of course, as I had mentioned, there were projects that were upcoming. Now, what was interesting as I was doing my due diligence, some feedback I was given about these specific individuals. Technically, the individual was very good, but there were a few other personal and soft skills issues that I was advised. But again, because of pressure, I have projects, I need the business to be running. I decided, you know what, let's bring this guy on board. And for sure, person was not a fit. And of course, within a few months, we had to let the individual go because they could not fit in within our business culture. Now, let's go to the other bit. We hire a resource again, and the resource again in less than a month or two, we realized, hey, here we made a terrible mistake. The person is not a fit for the business. But now this is where the challenge came in. We delayed the process of letting go this individual. Again, as an organization, and especially where you have 4 co-founders, you might not be the only one making decision. And every time you're always giving yourself hope. We give this individual a few more weeks, a few more months. Maybe they're trying to adapt, especially if they didn't come from a tech background. And that can delay to a month, 2 and 3. And that costs your business. Costing in terms of you, of course, you're paying this resource who's probably not delivering, and also the impact it has to the other employees. I think that's very important to realize that if you make a mistake, correct that mistake with immediate effect. So again, hire slow, fire fast. And I always have a trick in terms of how I do my interviews. I do not get involved in interviews for anyone who doesn't report to me. I have the head of departments or line managers handle that. I only want to interact with the people that will have a direct report to me. And how I do it is a very interesting way. I don't do formal interviews. For me, I would want to have a meal with you. That experience of having a meal shares a lot about how that individual operates. You might have the best certifications, technical expertise, or even if it's whichever function we're hiring. But if you're not able to handle the small things when we're having a meal, that tells me a lot. How you handle your cutlery, how you handle the people who are serving us says a lot about you. It's a trick that has worked for me. I think it's a trick you can also try it out. Back to our culture and our business. I'm always impressed by this organization psychologist, Adam Grant. He keeps talking of an organization is not a family, it's a community. And I truly believe in it. And I keep telling even my people that we work with, we are not a family, we are a community. Think of a family, and we all come from families. In a family, you'll have sibling rivalry, you'll have some kids being favored by parents. And if you look at the organization or the corporate in that perspective, then you'll start having some employees being favored. You'll have rivalry between employees. But however, if we look at it as a community is people who are brought together because of a common goal. So we are all here because of one common goal. We want this business to thrive. We want to offer some specific value to our customers. So if you're all driven by that, conflict will definitely be there, but it will be very easy for us to address this conflict, knowing that we are driven by a common vision or a common agenda. And lastly, when employees leave, I don't fear employees leaving, even going to our competitors. Why? Because I know they are ambassadors. There's fear that when somebody leaves the organization, moves to the competitor or moves to a different sector, Of course, yes, it's a loss as an organization. You might have invested in training this resource. You might have invested in also ensuring that they have the skill set needed to offer the service that or solutions that you offer to your client. But remember, there's the other element that they're your ambassadors. As I was speaking earlier regarding my previous experience, as I mentioned before, I was employed before, and things that I learned from that, my employer, I keep talking about them. What am I doing? I'm still being a good ambassador of that institution. And think of it the same way about how your employees who leave your organization. Of course, if they were well treated and they appreciated the work they were doing, they definitely go speaking well of your organization. And it's actually, think of it, it's free marketing. They keep talking about your business. Even people who didn't know that you existed now have an opportunity to know that you do exist. So with that, always remember, hire slow, fire fast. Thank you, guys. Looking forward to seeing you next session. Cheers.